I'm on the floor of Comic-Con again. Right now I'm talking with Chrissie Zullo.
Yay!
I said that right? Yes?
Yes, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, you said it right.
So I just did a panel with you about comic book covers, which was really, really cool.
That was so fun, yeah.
To hear like your version of drawing a comic book cover versus, Art Adams, who in the panel I did with him before, his answers were literally, no. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, that's your answer? No, you're killing me, man. But
he was also working on a commission, like while he was at the panel.
He was
like double multitasking. So.
Here's another amazing one. Sorry, this is a little off topic already, but that's okay. I'm super tired at this point. I did a panel that Gene Ha was on, and he was taking pictures of people with his iPad, and then he would sketch them. Okay. And then he got up from his seat, walked out into the crowd and handed them the sketch.
Oh, wow.
Like in the middle of the panel. I was like, what is going on right now?
That's random.
It's pretty amazing. So, so you have worked on some interiors and stuff, but largely you've worked on cover work.
Mostly covers, yeah.
As somebody that is kind of known for that, is there a preference? Do you prefer working on interiors to covers or vice versa?
I definitely prefer doing covers, mostly because I do pencil, ink, and color the entire illustration, and for me to do interiors, it would take me so long to do, and it's not my strongest point. I think, just for me personally, I do a lot better on the cover, but sequentials are something that I would like to do more of, and hopefully like in the next year I do get more into that field as well. So
awesome. So when you are kind of approaching your art, what has influence like your style? You have like a very wide-eyed, like bright, like kind of happy-looking style, even when you're dealing with kind of dark subject matter.
I know. Yeah. I mean, growing up, I was always into Disney movies and traditional animation, and in high school, I got really into anime and the really big eyes. And it wasn't until college that I got into American comics. People like Tim Sale, James Jean, Adam Hughes were like really big influences on me, and I think I'm just this weird mix of like all those things. And recently my style has gone through a change more into like the more wide-eyed look, just for me personally, because I think drawing for me, it needs to be fun, or else it feels a lot like work, and I want to make sure I'm enjoying what I'm doing. So for me, as long as like drawing is fun and makes people happy and brings some type of joy to people when they purchase a print or get a commission, that's like my focus now, is to have art that makes people happy, I guess. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's cool to have like that ethos of like, I'm creating something that's entertainment, so let's at the very least make it fun.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a property that you have like really, really wanted to work on? Like, is there something that you've always wanted to draw and just never had the chance to do?
Yeah, well, I got really lucky at first because my favorite comic book when I first got started was Fables, and that was actually my first job was on the book Fables. But besides that, I've been so fortunate to do Star Wars. I've done stuff for DC, and I've really been just so lucky. And now I'm just like trying to maybe move focus now maybe into a creator-owned thing. And that's really going to be my focus for like upcoming projects. What can I create now? I've gotten to work on all these great properties, and if I could keep working on those, that would be great too. But also I want to try to maybe do creator-owned stuff as well.
So if you can, what is like the direction that you'd like your creator-owned stuff to take?
Like what
like maybe
genre?
Just genre?
Oh, yeah.
I'm
definitely a sci-fi geek, so definitely something sci-fi.
Nice. I would love to see something in your style of science fiction. Yeah. Like, and you have like a very like kind of organic, on top of cartoony. Yeah. Like in science fiction, how would you handle like the tech aspects of that?
That would be difficult for me, but I guess practice, or do a lot of it digital so I can get a lot of those clean straight lines.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I bought a book on like how to draw, and it told you, like, take a page and just try to draw a straight line over and over until you get good at it.
Yeah.
And I filled up an entire sketchbook with straight lines. And none of them were perfect, and I gave up on learning how to officially draw. Like, I mean, I would sketch and stuff. I would sketch and stuff all through high school, but I always felt like it was subpar drawing because none of the lines were perfectly straight. Like,
no, but see, I appreciate that. Like, I don't like when everything is perfectly symmetrical or perfectly straight. I like seeing that human error part of it. So I don't know. I appreciate that stuff.
Oh, I do now as an adult. When I was like 12, I was like, I'm a failure. Like, I can't even draw a straight line.
Oh, that's awful.
When you're approaching, like, licensed ideas and Disney things, your style is very, very distinctive. Like, are there ever moments where you're like, wow, I really need to, like right now I'm standing, like, next to a picture of Rey from Star Wars. Do you ever have, like, moments where you're like, I need to make this look a little bit more like Rey and a little less out of my style?
I mean, for me, I like it more stylized, but I have worked on things where they, especially likenesses, where they say, like, it needs to look more like that actress or that actor. But personally, I like when the style is really stretched and it looks really, like, animated and not necessarily realistic at all. So personally, I like the more stylized.
Okay, that's awesome. It's it's interesting because we talked with Joe Isma earlier in this episode, as I'm going to say.
Okay.
Well, not just in the panel, we interviewed him as well. Cool. And he talked a lot about, he works on, like, Big Trouble in Little China, Charlie's Angels, and how, like, there's a process that, like, he has to go through where they say, no, this needs to actually look like Kurt Russell, guys.
Right.
Like, so it's interesting. As kind of like a cover artist, you have a little bit more freedom. And
I think it depends on the thing too. Like, if it is for something that, like, an official license, and it probably needs to look a lot like the actors, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
When you got the chance to do Fables, like, how did that come about? Like, for lack of a better term, how did they discover you?
Well, it was actually at Comic-Con, but in San Diego. And back then they used to do portfolio reviews, and I was fresh out of college, and I put together a portfolio of, like, fake comic book covers. Like, here's what I would do if I was doing comic book covers. And a lot of them were for Fables. And I was one of the people picked that day, and I got to meet with an editor, and basically I just, like, held on to her business card and kept in touch with her and would show her any new work I had, and she just happened to have a project that I fit. So it just kind of was, like, good timing on my part and just persistence of, constantly showing her what I had been working on.
So for somebody that's new to comics, as an artist, like, how would you go about it today if you had to start over? Well,
today I feel like not to say it's easier, but with things like apps like Instagram and Tumblr, Twitter, if you are trying to break into this industry, post art every day, post as much as you can, even if it's just work in progress, get a table at a convention, show your artwork. Basically, just the more you put it out there, the more likely that someone's going to see it. So I try to post as much as I can because you just never know who is going to see this and who's going to share it or pass it around. And it's just you're bettering your chances of getting noticed, and an editor might just find you that way. So you just never know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, currently, what are the books that visually intrigue you?
Nothing in particular. I go focus more on the artist, but some books right now that I'm really into, like, I've always been into the saga books, and I really go more for the artists. So I have, like, a whole list of artists that I just follow everything that they do and just pick up what they do.
I'm kind of the same way. There's, like, a battery of artists and a battery of writers, and everything they put out, I'm like, I don't care what it is, I'm buying that.
Right.
You know what? You have a bunch of people at your table, and I don't want you to, like, miss any sales or anything, so I'm going to wrap it up a little bit early.
Okay.
So that because I don't want to mess that up for you, because I know that's what this is all about. But can you tell everybody how we can find you on the internet and what projects you have upcoming?
Yes. Basically, everything is my name, so just Chrissie Zullo,